Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here. If you will, take your Bible if you're able, and we'll be in the 17th chapter of Acts, verse 4. And if you're able, not if you're driving down the interstate, but if you're sitting in your living room and able to open it up, if you would join me, if you would like, and then like, share, comment on the post, and then we'll jump into one simple verse with a, not so much, I guess, a lesson, but a good solid reminder for us as we seek to live for the Lord and share the gospel with other people. As we see here the results of Paul's message. Again, if you remember, he proclaimed, been preaching very simply. He says, it was necessary for Christ to suffer and rise from the dead. This is the Jesus that I proclaim to you, the Christ. And so he preached the gospel, plain and simple, without any additions, subtractions, or personal opinion. And so in verse 4 we read that it says, "And some of them were persuaded and joined Paul and Silas, as did a great many of the devout Greeks, and not a few of the leading women." Again, very short verse, very simple, and again, I'm going to call it a reminder more than a lesson. We see what happens when we do preach the gospel, when we share the good news of Jesus Christ. Some believed. Not all, but some believed. And so one of our first reminders is that everybody is not going to respond to the gospel message. No matter who preaches it or how good they're doing. Again, there were people who went and sat in stadiums and heard Billy Graham preach the gospel, who walked out lost. There have been people, people who heard Spurgeon and Moody and some of the greatest preachers in history, and yet they repeatedly heard them. Sat in Dr. Rogers' sanctuary there in Bellevue and heard the gospel for years and repeatedly walked out. So not everybody is going to respond. They didn't all respond to Paul when he preached the gospel. Some heard, but that some that hears is worth our effort. The other thing that we see in this verse is we see a variety of the type of people who did respond. We see here when it says that some of them were persuaded, that would have been the Jews. And the Jews, again, were some of the hardest, most prejudiced people, but yet here we see that some of them accept Christ. Some of them become followers, and that just shows us the power of the gospel. Not everybody is going to believe, not everybody's going to listen when you try to share the gospel, but some will. And so we keep preaching, even the hardest among us, the most difficult, some will. And so we never give up. Paul didn't stop from preaching. Some of the devout, it says, the devout Greeks and the influential women, and these were people, again, who would have been some of the last you would have ever imagined responding to the gospel. These were people who were caught up in all types of idolatry. They were involved in numerous forms of immorality, even as part of what worship that they did do. They were, again, just maybe not what we would say bad citizens, but they were just morally bankrupt. And even they respond to the gospel. And so just a reminder to us this morning that, again, not everybody's going to listen, but some will. And nobody is beyond the hearing of the gospel. We share the gospel. We plant. We do that work. But God is the God of the harvest. And so today, let me encourage you as you go in and out that you just keep sharing the gospel. You just keep telling people about Jesus, and some may be persuaded, even of the Greeks, even of the leading women, the hardest cases among us. We just never know. So we keep sharing the gospel. Keep it up today. Everywhere you go, tell somebody about Jesus. Have a good day. We'll see you here tomorrow morning.